Spoiler alert, episode 2. And this one's going to be a doozy. Black men do not have the most game. As a matter of fact, well, I'm not going to go that far, but black men do not have the most game. At least not in 2021. And that's been the case for about, I'd say, the past 20 or so years. Let's speak down to the level of game, the level of swag, the level that, the Bebe's kids and the Maggles and the Doziers and the Bamas love to emphasize on, because these guys can't get enough of the poopy, the thug, the Maggle image. Because when you speak to someone with this cadence, with this proper tone, with all this proper English, oh, he born, he ain't got no swag, he ain't got no game, he don't get no hoes. You know who else does that? The mamas! They're daggle-ass mamas. And that's where a lot of these Maggles get it from. Yeah, and I'm not talking about you overwatching, but I'm talking about those other Maggles. Those Maggles over there. Those Doziers over there. Those Bamas over there. But yeah, we gotta talk about this as a whole. We aren't gonna spend all the time on the aforementioned clowns, but nonetheless, black men don't have the most game. Let's look at this from an analytical perspective. For starters, a lot of these guys who say black men are the most sought after, desired, blah 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 blah. For starters, why is it that black men are the ones who usually have to resort to being proactively chasing and going after the women of their choice? No other community, particularly the men of their community, tell their youngins, their cubs, their prospects to go after women the way black men do. The ones who are seeking advice, the first thing they always tell these guys, you gotta approach that girl, dog. Yeah, you gotta cold approach that girl. You gotta approach her and you gotta approach the baddest bitch on. Looks like she's on Instagram. She got the most followers and she got all this, man. She got the baddest attitude. You gotta approach that girl with stinky attitude. Stinkiest attitude. It doesn't count if you go after the average chick. Doesn't count if you go after the chick with the big knockers, but no ass though. She ain't got no ass. She ain't got ass. She got cold approach. You have cold approach, son. Otherwise, you pussy, dog. Look, no other race is told that you have to do all the work for women who are so-called used up, washed up, average at best, all the rest. Nobody else tells their group of men this. And this is the reason why AMS and others have a mixed audience versus these other guys who tell prospects you gotta approach, do work and nag and nug and snug. And see, that's one of the main reasons why AMS moved on and evolved and transcended beyond a Bebe Kid audience. It's because he spoke the language of what other cultures teach their individuals, which is to be on your purpose, be a producer, focus on yourself, do your thing, go to the gym, work those hours, don't waste your time living your life to chase these hoes. That's his words, not mine. Second thing, if black men have the most game, why is it that these guys need PUAs and dating coaches to the point in which they can't live without them? I'm sorry, no shot towards the PUAs and dating coaches, but has anyone noticed that there's yet to be a saturation of dating coaches within certain parts of social media? As long as you cater to black men, black American men, and I know some people will say, well, most of my audience is non-black, and that's where most of my money comes from, and blah, blah, blah. Like, shout out to ARC, I know, but if you know a reason why ARC, personally, you and me, especially since we have the same birthday, shout out to you, Matt, alone, and I'm reviewing your book. It's on the way. The book review's on the way. But the reason why you don't get as much love from the community type and Bebe's kids, not even because of your age. The age that may be secondary, but it's because how you carry yourself. And the way you carry yourself isn't some cool breeze in the gang ass guy. He's like, yeah, I'm just killing in the street in my 64 Impala. I got the game, man. I'm Pip Cool Breeze, and like you are not a 1970s stereotype. That's what you should have been. That's what you should have did. And instead, you're going around acting like a middle class dude who from the better part of Gary, Indiana, and trying to tell these dudes they didn't fight. You heard it from these own baby's kids. Your own baby's kids of your own day. I'm talking about some, man, these white, suburban, white boy ass, uppity, Huxtable ass, college ass, Indiana Hoosiers, and Bobby Knight watching ass. That's why you don't get as much money from the baby's kids. That's why you gotta go to a mixed audience. There you go. And also, you don't play the you don't play the role, and you don't play to what these baby's kids have been heard, that have been told, which is basically, you got to be a dancing monkey, you got to do all the work, you got to do this and you got to do that. And there's yet to be a saturation of dating coaches within the black within black YouTube, whatever. And just say you're a black dating coach, you'll make money. You will make money because not a lot of black guys have game. Also, if black men had the most game, we would do the least work in order to get chicks. We would get choosing signals and all that kind of stuff up the yin yang, but most of the stories I see here of black dudes on social media tend to be the opposite. If black men had the most game, we wouldn't have to relegate ourselves to being a baby kid stereotype in order to get any sort of attention. Yeah, you would have black hoodlums and dope boys and ballers, alright, fine. But you would have black athletes who are on point, who act like Huxtables from the suburbs, you know. You would have black surfers, black skaters, black gamers, black nerds, all this other kind of stuff. And they would get just as much, if not more, play. Black rockers, black rollers, black emo dudes, and they would have no problems getting women. The anime buffs, video game buffs, freaking action comic book buffs with their freaking Avengers or Justice League boxers. Choose one, pick a side. But these guys wouldn't be complaining, nor would they have stories about how they got nuclear rejected eons of times. The reason why black men have not the least game, but they don't have the most game is because why is it that I barely see in my life in certain parts of America, particularly parts where they have infamous black hoods, why is it that I see a lack of interracial couples featuring black men and non-black women? Now, I do point out places where you will see that, but the correlation between all those places that black men do well is the lack of a black baby kid hood underclass. Some people want to shoot down that so-called theory I have, but I mean, hey, let's be honest. You have less of a hood, and as a result, you have a less crappy reputation of blacks, at least blacks within that region, even if they're like 2%, as long as they don't have a hood or nearby or within the region, and people tend to give them a bit more of a pass. Which also, back to my other point about how black men don't have the most game. Oh, a lot of these men, so-called men, they always feel as if they have to conform to some sort of hood-ass, swag-ass, I'ma speak Ebonic as. Don't use is or are, or use is when you should have used are, and I'ma instead of I'm about to or I will. Why is it that no other race has to butcher the English language in order to feel like a man, in order to feel as if they'll be validated by their women? No other race has to do that. Why does the black race of men, why are they the only race of individuals feel as if they have to join a gang or sling dope or sell drugs and do all that kind of stuff in order to get women? Oh yeah, another reason, and I hate to agree with some people who do have an anti-interracial agenda, but some people who have just noticed it via observation. If black men had the most game, why is it that we have the reputation of carrying out the trash but a racist. Why? I'm the first one who says don't do that. I'm the first one who tell you that you're better off. Ho. You're better off going MGTOW. And I mean monk MGTOW. Than to take out the trash. I'll tell anyone that. Before you take out the trash, before you do all this stuff in order to lower your standards, in order to claim you got something, go monk mode. Go, and I don't mean monk mode as in monk mode down the basement and whatever, the PS5, your Xbox, whatever it's called. But go monk mode and do some hardcore self-improvement, hardcore being on your purpose, like other races do. Yes, you won't get the support that a lot of other races do with some sort of next door neighbor kind of girl just looking at you and just admiring you from near or far. You won't get that. That's where the rigged part of American racial sexual dynamics is. But nonetheless, you're better off doing that than to try to chase whales and horses and whatever you can find in the swamp today or in the club. But nonetheless, I'm sorry, spoiler alert. A lot of black men just don't have game these days. And they haven't since, I would say, the early 2000s. Because if all of you, for the real hardcore viewers, a lot of you who took note or watched my video about the 80s and 90s and how I felt those were the epic eras of black men, that was because we had a combination. Well, first of all, that's because we came out of a very hellish era. And two, those who didn't succumb to the cool breeze stereotype, they made bank. They benefited. And people around the world saw who we were and who we, can't even say are, but who we were back then, which were men of principle, men of honor, men of masculinity, but not archetypes and stereotypes of what they tried to paint us as. It was around the 2000s when a lot of black men I noticed started to succumb to this stereotypical image. And whether it was these same men who just lost their will, or whether it was just the Bebe's kids and the crack era kids growing up and not knowing who their father was, or just trying to fit into the predominant hood society and were too punk and too afraid in order to stand on their 2 feet, set some people straight, tell them that, hey, look, I'm making my straight A's and you can't say a damn thing about it, otherwise it's 3 p.m. after school. People were afraid to do that, so they just went along to get along, and they wanted to impress the daggle and do all this other kind of stuff. No, I didn't roll like that, and for all you teenagers out there, I don't suggest you roll like that. Now, I'm not saying get in the fights. I'm not saying do that. Not unless you are in imminent danger. But for all you youngins out there, just take a lesson from these old individuals. These olders. And I include anyone who's my age and even in their 20s. And as olders, at least compared to the teenagers. Or even if you're 20. My age and older. Don't do what we did. Don't settle for being mediocre. Don't try to conform to the hood stereotypes. Don't try to appease an insignificant group of individuals, a hood underclass. Don't try to appease lesser people. Be in your purpose, stay in your mission, use your copulus, use your conjugated verbs. Don't be afraid to speak proper English. And if you need some sort of inspiration on why, what did you think your ancestors took those ass whippings for? Or even just non-black men. If you're in a trash environment where everyone is doing meth and doing opioids or lean or whatever, or leaning like cholos, don't buy into the mess. All it's going to do is just set them back. It's going to make it harder for your group in order to get women and have game and swag and all this other kind of stuff. Look, I'm about doing things as easy as you can. Don't work hard, work smart, and I include that when it comes to getting one. Everyone else out there, always bet on X.